Hi, everyone. So I put this in the chat, but I just want to let you know that we're just going to wait about 30 more seconds to allow people a chance to log on, and then we'll go ahead and get started. If you would like, as a little icebreaker or entrance ticket, so to speak, if you could just put into the chat where you are joining on this call from, that would be great. Ooh, San Francisco, Los Angeles, that sounds very sunny. Sunny and warm, which it is not in Charlotte right now. Sing some Ohio's, okay. Philly, wonderful. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. All right, let's pause the music. All right, welcome everyone to our virtual selection day prep session that we're having today. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We know that you could have done anything with your Tuesday evening after work, so it's great to have you here. Thank you all for putting in the chat where you're calling from. Oop, and bear with me, I have a magic mouse that loves to skip several slides. But hello, everyone. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Michaela Barnes. For anyone that I haven't had the pleasure of talking to up until this point or speaking with face-to-face, I am calling in from Charlotte, as I put into the chat, and I'm a 2018, or really 2017, technically, graduate of North Carolina Central University, where I major in psychology. And then I later went on to get my master's in applied psychology, which led me to be here at Venture for America, where I'm the selection associate for our selection and talent team. So that's just a little quick blurb about me, and I would love to have my wonderful team member introduce herself as well, who is also going to serve as our alumni representation, and we'll get to hear from her a lot later. So I'm going to pass it off to Aya.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm not quite sure how you can see my face, but I am super excited to talk to you all. I was a 2019 fellow, and I was based in Detroit for 2 years. And my background is in marketing and writing. So I did that while I was a fellow, and recently joined the Venture for America talent team as a recruiter. So super excited to be here as an alum representative, and happy to answer any of your questions.
Awesome. Also, thank you. All right, moving ahead. So for our time today, we are going to do a nice little overview of what our virtual selection day will look like, which you have to look forward to seeing Friday. Also, of course, we're going to go over some tips and best practices that you can take into your preparation time for selection day to set you up for success. And then, of course, having that time at the end for our alumni spotlight of Aya, and having a little Q&A section. Oh, okay. I knew something like that would happen. Okay. All right. So just a little bit about our itinerary for Friday. As we know, it is a full day that you're expected to participate with us online. We will start our day off with a optional but highly encouraged coffee chat. This is just a space where you have a chance to network and get to speak with your fellow selection day attendees and candidates that will also be going through selection day and doing the same process as you that day. We really encourage it because it's a great way for you to break the ice of the day, break away from that morning fog at 8:30 a.m. and really get the chance to speak to potentially your fellow group mates who will also be in your Zoom rooms with you, which I'll talk more about a little bit later. Following the coffee chat, we will have welcome, which will kick off our day at 9 a.m., where our CEO will be present and you'll get to, get a little welcoming blurb to start the day. Next, we'll go into probably our biggest chunk of the day, which is our morning group activities. This is where you will meet the other fellow candidates that are in your room, as well as your facilitators. And your room will also contain judges in it as well that will also be watching your day. This morning group activity time consists of 3 activities that you will go through with your group mates, and we will provide breaks in between those activities as well. Following the morning activity time, we will have a space for lunch where you can grab food, but also an opportunity where you can learn even more about Venture for America through our alumni panel that we will have. So some of our VFA alum will come together to answer questions that you all have the chance to submit, and also a short presentation done by one of our staff members where you get to just learn a little bit of an inside scoop of just what exactly VFA has to offer. Following lunch, we will kick it back up with the final portion of the day, which is the afternoon individual interviews. During this time, you will have 45 to 60-minute interviews that will give you a chance to reflect on those morning activities, get to talk about, just some high points or low points of your day, and also discuss your experiences that, you would like to bring to VFA, as well as, why you have an interest in VFA altogether. You'll also get a chance to talk, more about logistics, role preferences, location preferences, and all of that. And then this is also where you will complete your individual pitch activity, where we'll talk a little bit more about that later and just how you will get prep materials for that activity to prepare for that. But that's just a quick overview of the itinerary for the day. A little more on the logistics for selection day. So like I mentioned, the optional coffee chat will be at 8:30 a.m. So technically that's the start of the day if you choose to join into that. Then of course, we officially start at 9 a.m. with our welcome, and we'll end the day officially at 5 p.m. Although that afternoon portion will not be completely full of the time. You will sign up for your one-on-one times with your facilitators in your room. Of course, the location is virtual. Your links are coming soon. You will receive those links to your Zoom rooms tomorrow. And we recommend that you log in to those Zoom rooms, or start trying to log in at 8:55 or as early as you can, so that we can handle any technical problems that may arise, so that you have time to reach out to us and connect if any issues occur, test internet, all of those good things. And it's funny how I'm saying that, and as I'm glitching right now. Give me 2 seconds. All right, I'm back. Next, of course, also recommending, getting a great healthy breakfast, or if you're someone that require, sustenance to function properly and, without being grumpy, highly recommend having snacks nearby, especially during those morning activities. Although, like I said, breaks will be provided. And then we also recommend having your lunch prepared nearby or easily microwavable, so that you do have enough time, because that hour can go quick, and also so that you can participate in that lunchtime panel if you so choose. And then, of course, just a helpful hint is that you can email the selection at the Venture for America inbox if you have any issues that come up, or you can text me as well. This is my number there, and I will be on standby, or can point you to another team member to help you with those technical issues that are going on. And so that is just a little run through of logistics. So now down to kind of more of those tips and helpful hints. So what are we looking for on selection day? On selection day, these are the 4 main competencies that we are looking for, or evaluating you on, so to speak. So the first being mission and pragmatic alignment. So we want to see that you are aligned to our mission at VFA, that your interests align with, you actually desire to live in a VFA city, work for a potentially for-profit company, and that you're, of course, interested in startups. You're interested in being a startup leader or a founder. So we want to just make sure that those missions align, not just for us, but for you, because we do want, a part of that is to set you up for success as well, and know if this is, truly something that aligns. Next, we will be looking at ability to contribute. So this is a big portion. Of course, we are highly visible in talking about, or highly spoken about what we provide at VFA, but we also want to see, what strengths do you bring to the table? What is your growth over time? What accomplishments in the past have you made in this short time? What is your ability to work in group, decision-making skills, all of that things to know about the results of different actions that you've taken. Going off of that with decision-making and disposition, we want to see, are you the type of person that can bounce back if you encounter setbacks? How do you respond to feedback? What type of decisions do you make? How do you think through those decisions? And do those decisions potentially move a group or a team forward? And then, of course, we're looking at teamwork. Through our group work time, we want to see, how you contribute to groups. Are you able to evaluate your own strengths and incorporate those into the group? And are you even good at facilitating and helping others bring forth their strengths in the group as well, and allowing space for them to display their own? So those are kind of like the 4 main competencies that we're looking at for the day. So definitely something to take note of. And then, of course, we want you to just be authentic, be yourself. I'm not sharing those competencies for you to put on an act, but we want to see your true strengths. We want you to shine during the day. We also recommend, do your research about VFA. Come into the day if you have questions, kind of spending some research time, that you come with the best questions during that one-on-one interview time to help you, and also just help yourself for the day. And I'll say more on that on the last bullet. Don't anticipate, participate. So a big part of that, and being able to see those competencies come to life, and being able to truly evaluate you fully, is to be able to hear your participation. So of course, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to interject your own viewpoint. Of course, being respectful of others, but we want to hear your voice. We want to hear your way of thinking. Even if it's already been said, it's always good to put your own stamp on that viewpoint that you have. Using the STAR method for interviewing, I will go over this more on the next slide, but the STAR method is something that we recommend you incorporate or look up in your preparation time, because it's a great method for interviewing, but also especially for how our interview will run on selection day. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, get your rest, fuel up, and then use the pre-work that we'll send out tomorrow, and prepare well. So again, researching VFA, looking into even the cities that you're interested in, all of that is going to help you out and going into selection day. And then, of course, taking a deep breath. I recommend relaxing, just trying to be, and that goes back to being authentically yourself, just going into that day with a confidence. All right, so more on the STAR technique before I pass this over. So the STAR technique is just a great way to make sure that you are clearly and concisely presenting your thoughts in an interview, and also doing a great job with storytelling. So the STAR technique is what we recommend you to use, because when we go through our questions in that portion, we want you to prepare. Think about the question and try to think of a scenario. And in fact, prepare ahead of time, especially by going ahead and thinking of potential questions based on the competencies that I've shared with you. Think of potential events and situations that you've been a part of that you can utilize for those questions to have already prepared when you receive certain questions. Then in the interview, describe that situation or event. Try to describe it with enough context, but not oversharing. So try to be as concise as possible, of course, sharing needed information in order for your interviewer to get a good idea of exactly what the situation is that you're asked to do or that you were involved in. Then, of course, explaining the task you had to complete. So again, trying to explain the task in a concise way, but that also gives the evaluator enough time to understand, okay, what was it you were asked to do? And then action, what did you do? So be as specific as you can about the details you took or the actions you took to address that task, especially sharing the details that were very integral into completing that activity. And then that goes into results. So of course, always make sure to include the results of the actions you took. So for example, studying this book, what result did that give me by studying this book? I was able to increase my elevator speech knowledge for this particular topic. So being able to just say what results of your actions were, especially anything quantifiable, would be 100% needed. And so that's just a little run through of the STAR technique. Definitely, of course, recommend you doing more research of it on your own, and maybe even taking an example based on one of the competencies to go ahead and set up a scenario that you would explain during the day. Oh, no. Sorry. All right. And that is my spiel on that. Hopefully I tend to talk fast sometimes. Definitely during this Q&A time, if you have any questions about anything I've said, if you need me to go back to a particular slide so that you can maybe take a screenshot or just I can reshare some information, please let me know. There is a Q&A section, so you can drop any questions you have there, or you can type them into the chat. Either option is okay, but this spotlight time is specifically for Aya. So definitely, if you have any questions geared from an alumni perspective, please feel free to ask those here. And so I will put myself on mute. I'll give us about a minute or two to generate some questions, and then I'll come back on. All right, I see a question in the Q&A section. So someone has asked, how long does each group activity take? So our group activity is spread out throughout the morning. So starting around 9:30 until about 12 o'clock for lunch. So it's about 2.5 hours that we spend in group activities, and there's 3 activities. So you can kind of divide up that time for how long we'll be in each individual group activity, with also putting in space for there will be 3 breaks that I believe last for about 5 to 10 minutes. So there'll be, if I do that math in my head now, about 30 minutes, 30, 45 minutes. Yes, 40 minutes. All right, great question. Any other questions in the chat? You can put them here now. Ooh. All right, we have another question. Would love to hear about the alumni experience with Match. Did you know what city you wanted to be in going into it? And how long did that process take? So I will pass this question over to Aya.
Yeah, great question. So my experience with Match was definitely stressful, as I think anyone's job search is. So something that made it a little bit easier for me was I got married right before coming to training camp, and my husband got a job at Ford. So we kind of knew that like getting a job in Detroit was important, if not necessary. So Detroit was where I wanted to be, where I needed to be. And I tell fellows during training camp that I was gonna be in Detroit, and they would ask me what company I was gonna be at, and I told them I didn't know yet, but I was gonna be in Detroit. So I feel like I manifested being in Detroit. So the experience was actually pretty good in terms of reaching out to companies. Because of my background in marketing and in communications, that's what I was looking for. And then I narrowed that down further to just looking in Detroit. And because training camp was in person way back then, and it was based in Detroit, it was a lot easier to get acclimated to the city and really enjoy being there and kind of put myself like to see if this is a place I would enjoy living. And I was actually one of the a group of people who did not have a job going into training camp, which for a lot of fellows is a bit stressful. But I didn't get my job until the very last week of training camp. And because I was there in person and the job was there in person, I was able to go to an in-person interview and sit and talk with the company. And, the experience will be a little bit different. I think for each class, as COVID does what COVID does. But that was my experience. And I would say overall, the support that I got from the VFA team in terms of finding a job and evaluating different companies was what made the process so much better than if I was just, looking for a job randomly on a job board. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, for sure. I think the only part is how long exactly would you say that process took?
Yeah, so I probably started looking in like March or April. I want to say that that's when Match opened for us. And I feel like I was in one of the selection days that were later, so I had like a shorter amount of time to like even get adjusted to what Match was. Um, and then from then to actually being in training camp, I believe training camp was in July. So that whole time I was looking for jobs. But the other thing is that like Detroit didn't have like thousands and thousands of jobs, especially for someone who was doing marketing, because I was looking for a specific industry and had specific skills that I wanted to be able to apply. It narrowed it down significantly. So it wasn't necessarily that I spent all that time constantly looking. It was more like waiting for new companies to come onto the platform and things like that. But being in interviews and stuff like that, that just happens kind of constantly. So it's not as overwhelming as it might seem. But yeah, I got on in April and didn't get a job until like the last week of July.
All right, cool. But it's good you did find the one. And so yes, coming in with a specific industry and a specific location definitely can limit the number of options that you have. So that's also just something to keep in mind when it comes to Match. All right, thank you for that. Our next one is, are the judges slash panelists VFA alum, staff, affiliated entrepreneurs, or a mix? So the judges are, so we have two groups of people that will be in your room on selection day. The first will be facilitators. Those are the people that will be facilitating your group activities and doing your one-on-one interviews in the afternoon. And then we also have judges that are also in the room that will be not necessarily evaluating, but monitoring your performance as well, so to speak. I don't want to use the word monitor, but they'll be present in the room to see what is going on. And these people are kind of like a combination of our ecosystem partners and our company partners, but occasionally they also could be VFA alum as well. So that is pretty much a mix up of who makes up our judges. That's another great question. What is the experience of training camp like? So this is another one that I will definitely pass off to Aya.
Yeah, so I love training camp. It was 100% one of the highlights of my experience, and it's one of the few times that my class was like all together in one place. I would say that, my experience, I would add this caveat that my experience is specific because mine was in person. I know the past few years have been online. And so the experience is very different. So I would just put that out there that it's definitely from another time. But I loved it. We did a lot of different types of training. So fun things where we got to hear different speakers, activities where we got to like do a like essentially create a product and go out and test it, and it was like a competition. And we weren't making apps and doing anything crazy, we didn't have time for that, but it was just a really fun bonding and team activity. We got to work with small businesses and like make them a website. And the funny thing is, while I was a fellow, I was able to do something very similar for small businesses in Detroit. So that experience like directly helped me with that. But yeah, it was just overall a great time to like connect with fellows, even if they weren't going to be in your city, and make really good friendships and make a lot of memories. It was really fun. I totally enjoyed my experience.
Awesome, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I've heard lots of wonderful things about training camp and the resources you receive. I've even heard fellows mention that, or alum mention that, like they've kept those resources and even utilized them after the fellowship. So great, great stuff. All right. That was our last question in the queue so far. Does anyone else have any burning questions, for Aya or for, a selection team perspective as far as logistics or anything you need to know, anything we need to run back through? I see one. What does the selection process for selection day look like? Are we given scores based on performances on each task and then selected based off that? So kind of a look into the process. Your facilitators are the ones evaluating your performance of the day. You'll complete all the group activities, and then they don't score you on each individual activity, but just how you or show those competencies that I mentioned as a whole from the day. And so that is what we go off of. And then of course, answers from your individual interview. I hope that answered the full question. So scoring from the cumulative performance of the group events from the day, and then also looking at the same competencies as shown through in your individual interview. All right. Any other questions? Definitely don't feel shy to ask. It's only 5:30. how many fellows are selected in each round? So we don't have a cap of how many we receive. We have like estimates based on what we think the numbers may be just from data, but we don't have a min or a max. We go off of our facilitators recommendations, we evaluate them and again just to look over everything, really speak to the facilitators and get a view at what has happened during selection day, and then we make our decision. So as many, people that really come through strong and show that they're a great candidate, strong candidate, that is how many that we will admit. How many fellows are selected in each round? Historically, as far as this time, we've seen around, it's hard to say. So it's different, but our goal, I'll say our goal for the fellows that we would like to select, our goal, we would love to end up with a pool of about, I believe, 175 fellows. So that is our goal for the end. And so we have 4 deadlines with, I believe, 2, 3, with 4 or 5 selection days in total. So you can kind of do the math of what our goal is to accept. But again, it just depends on what we see from that selection day. But our goal is that we would love to end this selection season with 175 fellows that complete training camp and go on to start their jobs in August. Could you talk more about the personal pitch and what interviewers might be looking for? Ooh, which brings me to a point that I glossed over. So for your personal pitch, you will be receiving tomorrow in your prep materials. A part of that will also be a rundown of what is expected and what is to be looked for in the personal pitch. So that question will in depth be answered tomorrow when you receive that email. So I will let you all receive that information. But basically, we're really looking for in the pitch, like your ability to communicate, hireability, and of course, we want to see results orientation come through in your pitch. But you will definitely get a deeper rundown tomorrow in that preparation email. All right. Any other questions? Ooh, while I'm waiting to see if anyone else has questions, I'll also make note that this webinar is also being recorded, and we will send out this recording as a part of the preparation materials again. So if you, want another rundown of the STAR technique or just to view it again, all of this information and the answers to these questions will be in the recording, and it will be provided to everyone as well. My past as a teacher has me able to be good with awkward silence moments. This is where I would definitely cue in some background music, but I wouldn't want it to be too loud. But if we don't have any other questions, I'm still giving time and space for this. You can let me know in the chat if you need to stop me, if you have a question coming that you're typing. But if we don't have any other questions, I'll go ahead and start to wrap up the room. I just want to make sure that no one else has any other burning questions for the day that they are waiting to ask. All right, it seems like that's it. So that's it for this prep presentation. Thank you so much for coming, Kevin. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who has joined on. I hope that this was very helpful in your preparation for Friday. We're so excited to have you all and see what happens during the day and see your participation. I'm so excited. So again, if you have any remaining questions or something comes up later on after we get off this call, please feel free to reach out to me at the selection inbox, or again, I'll go back to that picture of my number so that you can text me. You can also use this again on selection day. If you have anything that comes up, especially with Zoom links or just tech issues, please let me know. Hopefully everyone is staying safe in this crazy COVID world. And we look forward to seeing you all Friday. Have a great work week or school week, and we'll see you then. And thanks, special thanks to Aya. Thank you for joining me on this call and representing our alumni. Oh, and thanks to Kelly too, who joined on as quietly in the background. Thank you for joining on also. All right, thanks everyone. I'm going to end the room.